Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome to Apex Racing TV's broadcast of the Spec Race Forward Weekend Warrior Series. We're here in Laguna Seca, just outside Monterey, California, for what is round 5 of season 3 in this 2022 year. My name's Adam Hadfield. Alongside me in the commentary box and also pulling double duty on the cameras is Jonathan Grabowski. Jonathan, welcome in. How are you looking forward to tonight?
Good evening, Adam. It's so good to be with you. I have mighty big shoes to fill replacing the lovely and wonderful Tim Cox, but I'm excited for this week. Laguna Seca is one of my favorite tracks, and we're going to have a real interesting week, especially in the Spec 1 class with no Aero Nom.
No, Aaron Nom's decided not to join us. He's got better things to do. A little vacay for him. And I think it would be a bit of a shift in pace, wouldn't it? With being at Knock Hill just last week, I think we couldn't get a more different climate. We've come over here to California and wing it around Laguna Seca. Also, we're going from one of the newest circuits in the service, Knock Hill on iRacing, to one of what is probably one of the oldest circuits, one of the oldest layouts that absolutely everyone, not just in iRacing but in sim racing in general, is very, very familiar with. No one should be turning up here tonight having not done at least 1,000 laps simulated or otherwise around here.
Yeah, I think everyone should know this track very well. If you don't know how Laguna Seca works, or you don't have a lot of experience on it, then you're not into sim racing. As we know, it's on iRacing and other platforms that are available, but this is one of the original, one of the granddaddies of iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as such, everyone's obviously out there setting some fairly similar qualifying times, minus the front two, Panero and Naselli, currently leading qualifying as we're just coming to 30 minutes down out of the 20 minutes they've got to set their times. For everyone else from third place all the way down, I'm counting 17th, 18th, 19th, within a second of one another. So we're looking at another fantastically close race, obviously lacking Aero Nom at the front, but that just opens the door for a few more drivers. I think personally I've got Mayon and Wang Shilin for tonight. What about you, Jonathan? Is anyone you're looking to pick out as a potential victory snatcher?
You know, Wang Shilin is one of the favorites for sure. I'm going to keep an eye on Antonio Reyes. He's come really, really close. He's very, very fast, and we haven't seen a Masters class driver win an overall here on Weekend Warriors, and he's come close in the past. This could be the week, you know. Aero Nom's not here. I believe he's not going to be here next week as well. This is a great opportunity for some guys in that Spec 1 class to get some points like Panero and Naselli, but I'm going to keep my eyes on Antonio Reyes.
Yeah, you say he's come close to winning. Who can forget Okayama earlier in the season? He had one corner to go, having benefited from an incident between Nom and I think it was Panero at the time, wasn't it, on the last lap. He was literally staring at the checkered flag and then got it a little bit wide out onto the grass, and off it went. And I think it was Lynn on that day who actually snatched the victory, wasn't it? So but yeah, he's currently qualified fourth, so every opportunity to snatch a win for the older category, the over 50s in our Masters. Speaking of the different categories, I wonder if we can't take a quick look at the standings now that we've got 4 rounds, a third of the season in the books. And just like that, there they are. Aero Nom once again not joining us tonight, but still leading the standings for now on 372. Looking to overhaul him. First in the queue will be Maurizio Naselli, currently second, a matter of 38 points behind, with Marco Panero, Jörg Marni and Simon Mayer making up your top 5 in that category. Bobby West, Juan Chilin, Jesus Rodriguez, Jason Green and Jeff Fritzer all spread out in the 200-point range, down to 179 for Jeff there. Next category up, which one's it going to be? It's our green highlighted Spec 2 series for the drivers with slightly lower iRatings. Flavio Andalo currently leading that one. It's a close one at the top though. Ian Gibson keeping him honest, 235 plays 216. Kuzma Lesnoy standing in third at the moment, with Al McKay and Mark Trespidi and Todd Hansen all within 100 points of the leader. Oh, in fact, and I should also mention Jean-Claude Vincent and Jackson also within that 100-point bracket, and Gary Walbolt rounds out your top 10 in the Spec 2s, leaving us with just our yellow highlighted Masters category, for which Antonio Reyes leads by a matter of 21 points from Tom Gradwell. Adam Bradshaw, Maria Haraski and Bob Kern make up your top 5 there, with Kenneth Batley, Marcus Burkett Gianni Longin, Stevie Rate, Steve Series Organiser, and Chris Murakami, who's obviously only joined us for 2 rounds out of the 4 so far, hence why he's so far down the category. Normally you'd expect him to be either leading or challenging, hot on the heels whoever is leading that series. So our 3 series there, and on the left again you can see how they stack up in qualifying. A couple of the Masters drivers, Reyes and Murakami, who has joined us tonight, up in the side, the top 10, they'll be happy with that. And our top am at the moment is Lesnoy in 12th, so doing very good, representing our Spec 2 category.
Yeah, it's also nice to see Chris Murakami back. We haven't seen Chris much this season, but always one of our stronger, or if not champion Masters class drivers. So it's good to see him back, whereas Antonio Reyes can't have all the fun so far this season.
Yeah, it's normally a feature of our broadcasts in season pass, hasn't it? We always seem to get Chris in the box for his wins or his close battles in the Masters. So I imagine we'll see him again tonight if all things play out as he wants them. We're watching Jason Perry at the moment, the number 97, is in 11th in qualifying. Looking to jump up inside that top 10. He's only got a 10th to find over Jason Green, fellow Brit, out there tonight.
And yes, those are potatoes. That is a potato livery, folks.
Don't worry, don't adjust your screen, guys. He really did pick that paint. As he climbs the hill up to the iconic corkscrew. Quick flick right hard on the brakes and try not to miss your apex as it falls down. Is it 4 or 5 stories? I can never remember just how far the fall is there through the corkscrew. It's big though. You'll certainly lose your lunch if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, it's these first 2 laps here with such a large field. I think we're over 40 cars today. It's going to be a real kind of battle of, as we saw Perry get into the back of someone there. It's going to be a real case of survival, especially these first 2 laps as we go into Andretti and as we head down the corkscrew. It's going to be, once you're in that 10th to 30 range, it's how do I get through these laps and get going from there.
Yeah, all the cars are going to be stacked on top of each other for those couple of laps. Oh, as we've got a spinner off there. Who am I looking at?
That's Murakami.
That's Murakami, isn't it? Obviously pushing to just improve his position that little bit.
Yeah, we went to everyone's spinning.
Pavini pointing perpendicular to the line. He gets himself going though. No harm, no foul it seems. And he'll have time for at least one more lap. In fact, just one more lap. As we're coming towards the checkered flag for this session. Before we get there though, let's just have a quick word for our sponsor, RaceVoice, who sponsor the Spec Race 4 Weekend Series. They are the exclusive sponsor of our Sunday night series. You too can take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice. You can hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. You too can go faster with the speed of voice. Check them out by visiting www.racevoice.com. And once again, thank you to them for sponsoring our series and making this all work out. Right, we've got 40 seconds on the clock. Who is improving? I'm not seeing many green or purple sectors at the moment.
No, I think everybody's... I thought Panero might go for another lap here, but I think he's going to get caught up in a little traffic behind Walker.
Yeah, I'm struggling to believe Panero's pace, to be quite honest. He's 3/10 out in the lead. He's really hooked up a lap. I imagine he'll have picked up a nice bit of draft at some point on that particular lap. I wonder when he actually set that.
Yeah, Panero's the only guy into the 33s today so far. If you look at the rest of the tower, everyone down to Perry in 12th is in the 134s, and then it drops. We have a whole boatload of guys in the 135s, so it's going to be a real interesting, that Peloton group, as we like to call it.
Yeah, he set that time on his 6th lap, so about 10 minutes into the session. So I wonder if everyone else has been finding that. They've been setting their times earlier on, and now it's just everything's a little bit overheated, and they can't quite find what they're after. We're watching Felix Simoes come to the line, the number 31. Doesn't improve, stays 5th, heading up the 3rd row of the grid.
Simoes was in the thick of the action last week at Knock Hill. But going back to Pinero, I almost feel like he's due for a win. You know, he's been up at the front. He's driven great. He's fast, and then just something happens where it's a pit stop or getting caught up in an incident, and you know he's due.
Yeah, third last time out at Knockhill, had all sorts of issues, didn't he, with the battling of the drivers. In fact, it wasn't really meant to be Aero Nom's win last week out. He rather looked into that one. For once, he wasn't the fastest out on track. He won't be the fastest out on track either today. At the moment, that's Pinero, as I think we're just watching the last couple of cars coming across the line. Jian Longin comes across. And surely now we must have seen the last of our drivers setting their times. Just waiting for the session to time out, and then we'll bring you a full rundown of the qualifying results.
Antonio Reyes, first in the Masters class, but 4th overall. So, really great qualifying effort by Antonio.
Yeah, I imagine he'll be very pleased with himself pulling that one out of the bag. As we're still waiting for the session to end, I'm not quite sure why we're running so long here.
I think we had a couple guys who just beat the tower.
I say the 2-minute warning. Overtime is coming to an end now. And there we go. Session ends. We've got a couple of seconds whilst the drivers line up on the grid before our pacing lap behind the Porsche there. Plenty of time to bring you the full results, and now they pop up on screen. As we've said, Marco Pinero comes home with the pole position, a 1:33.788, the only driver to dip into the 1:33s. A really excellent lap time. He's really pulled one out of the bag there to be so far ahead of his teammate Maurizio Naselli, joining him on the front row of the grid, number 44, just 29 hundredths away. Paolo Gori lines up third, and Antonio Reyes, the first of our Masters category, really excelling there to be in fourth. Felix Simoes qualifies fifth, and the first British driver on the grid, Bobby West, in sixth place. James Walker will head off from seventh with Wang Shi Lin in eighth. Lemon Mayer lines up ninth, and Chris Murakami, challenger to Antonio Reyes tonight, starting from 10th. Jason Green is 11th, and the number 97 of Jason Perry joins him in 12th. Guzmo Lesnoy is the first of the Spec 2 drivers, 1.2 seconds off the lead, but that gets him 13th on the grid, alongside his rival Andrea Favini in 14th. Matthijs Weiger coming from 15th with Aidan Campbell alongside Thomas Renders, has qualified 17th with Luca Leona in 18th. Alan McCain, number 212 from 19th, and Charlie Vaccaro joins him on the 10th row of the grid. Christian Wassey and Mario Kraski make up the 11th row ahead of Serge Mountbat and Brian D. Short. Stevie Ray will come off the grid in 25th place ahead of John Wilson, Ken Batley and Yuri Cox. Jim Brewster lines up 29th with Paul Jackson in 30th. Kurt Nunez, number 918, from 31st ahead of Bob Kern in Gibson. Marco Trespidi in the number 767, Darren Kern, Danny Mulder. And we must be getting close to the last few drivers. Gary Wolbolt in 37th, Bruno Conti 38th, John Lauer in 39th, and Jeff Cantor rounds out the top 40. We're still going. Jan Longini 41st, Tom Gradwell 42nd, Carl Burke, the last driver to set a representative time, although I'm not sure that's particularly representative, with a full 10 seconds from the lead time, whether he's just gone out and rolled round to set a time. Andreas Bertoni, our classic from the back driver, enjoys fighting up through the pack. Let's see just how many positions he can gain tonight. Marcus Burkett from 45th, Michel Vaglini, and finally Nico Schuck. 47 drivers joining us for this 40-minute race with a pit stop. These guys all know what they're doing. They've been with us long enough. We have got one new driver joining us tonight, though. I believe Stevie Ray's pointed out to name John Wilson from the Spec Racer group on Tuesday night. So welcome into him. I didn't quite catch where he qualified. I assume I read out his name at some point, Jonathan, but just skipped me by.
John
and we're on board
qualified
there, 24th.
24th. So solid effort.
Very good. Yeah, well done, John. Let's see if you can make some positions up from there as well. I imagine he'll be hoping for a top 20 tonight from there. As we come steadily over the highest point on the circuit and then tumble down, down and down through 9, 10. And then the pace car will pull off just before turn 11 and we'll be good to go.
Adam, any last minute predictions?
Well, I've already put my money out on Wang Xilin. He's qualified a little bit further down than I'd have hoped for that to be a likely outcome, but I'm going to stick to my guns there. Wang Xilin,
I would agree. I would agree with you, but just for the sake of it, I will go with Antonio Reyes today.
Either way, the green flag flies and we're underway. Marco Pinero jumps straight into the lead. Maselli right in behind him, and then everyone else battling for third place. As we head down to turn 1 for the very first time, Bobby West on the outside here, looking to make up positions around the outside of Simoes. Deep into the corner, out into the dusty stuff, doesn't make his position but hangs on to where he was. Oh, Jason Perry a little bit wide in the background. Everyone 2 by 2 by 2 as we come to 3. But seemingly no incidents. I think we've had a record run of races actually where we've not had any incidents into the first couple of corners. Everyone's been very well behaved this season. So hats off to them for making some good racing action. But Pinero immediately out into the lead, and I imagine hoping that he and his teammate can pull away. Reyes is up into third immediately, making one position off the grid and hoping to go with the pro drivers. He's got Simoes on his tail and Bobby West making up the top 5 as we climb the hill for the first time.
A great start by everyone so far. No big issues. And not surprisingly, Andreas Bertoni's already climbed up 8 spots.
Yeah, immediately Bertoni, biggest mover. We'll keep checking it on him every so often. Oh, I hear contact somewhere on screen. Yes, there we go. We've got a couple of drivers.
Oh, we got issues. Jackson's in the dirt. Gibson had an issue. I'll grab that when we can, Adam.
Ian Gibson, one of our Spec 2 series contenders. Now way back in the field. We're going to have to make up places. We're watching Chris Murakami. He's in 9th. Made it up from his outside the top 10 starting position. Jason Green right on his tail. And he's defending down into 1. Deep on the brakes. Make sure he picks up his apex. He does that. Jason Green got nowhere to go as we run through the long double apex turn 1. Quick kink through 2 and then onto the brakes through 3. This entire track fast and flowing. Pick up your lines. Make use of every last inch right out into the dirt as we see a lot of them kicking it up on entry and exit through 5 there, through 4 even.
Here's the issue earlier. I was able to find Jackson, so they're coming up the hill here. Oh, and Gibson just got right into the back of him. And
yeah, hard to say how early Jackson was on the brakes there. It didn't seem to be terribly early, did it? But obviously Ian was somewhat blindsided by a driver slower than he expected it to be.
No, and that's tough on the first few laps. You know, you're still feeling it out. The tires are still kind of cold. In a large group like that, you don't know what's kind of ahead of you as well. So, with large groups, it's bound to happen.
We just saw the 22 of Viger take a healthy dose of off track there on the inside of the corkscrew. I think he's got away with it. So it's an easy place to pick up a slowdown penalty around there. At the very least, I imagine he'll have picked up a 1x penalty point. These drivers have got 12 penalty points to play with for off-track contact. In fact, no, he did pick up slowdown. The exit stage left, and Al McCain makes a move up into 16th. I mentioned it. I thought I saw him taking more than half the car over the inside gravel. And that's exactly what he did. He's still losing places, now defending from, who's that, Vaccaro to his outside. And he's managed to hold it there. So I think 4 places lost for what was a small error, only a couple of inches out of line. But if you pick up a slowdown, especially in these early laps, when the system hasn't quite got all its numbers in a row, it can really hurt you.
Now we got one of these big battle groups that we tend to have in SRF. You know, as we look into the low 20s here, we got Cox, Batley, Brewster. This is your for those that have not watched Weekend Warriors in the past, these big, huge groups tend to form. So we call it the peloton here, you know, Tour de France season as well.
Yeah, very apt. Or alped, maybe. Sorry, Tim's not here to make the jokes, I've got to try. As we join what is the front peloton effectively, I think the front 3 or 4 are actually quite spread out. So this is our first major group. It's headed by Walker, West, Wang Qilin and Simon Mayer. And
Yeah,
in the distance, the first 4 who have already made quite the gap. So whether these guys have been battling hard for the last couple of laps, it's cost them 3 seconds, whatever they've been doing.
Yeah, this is really shocking that group of 4 has jumped, you know, so far ahead. You know, looking at the gaps back, it's pretty far for lap 4 of a SRF race.
Yeah, we don't normally see this. Most of the drivers, certainly inside the top 10, you expect to be working together for the initial stages. Any small battle does tend to open it up, but most of the drivers at the front recognise how much a battle costs them and tend to sort of sort it out and get back to the business of leading ahead of the race. This time that hasn't happened. They've got disjointed, and now these guys, I imagine, are going to be battling over the best possible finish of 5th, unless the front 4 get a little bit squirrely at some point. Talking of squirrely, Pinero's squirreling away at the moment. He's got nearly a second's lead over his teammate. I don't imagine that's team tactics, and so he'll be going as fast as he possibly can. Oh, as Reyes, I thought I caught it. He got sideways over the top there, and he drops to 4th. And what was a group that wasn't too spread out has become more spread out now. There's about 3 or 4 car lengths between each of them, with Reyes off the back now, unfortunately. Just a slight overcorrection, I think, over the top as the back sort of started to come round on him.
Yeah, that group, that first 4 is really pushing the pace. They're all in the 134s, whereas looking at the group of Walker, Lynn, West, they're all, you know, 130, mid to upper 135s for the most part.
Yeah,
so
we're at almost qualifying pace immediately, aren't we, in the 34s? As we start lap 5.
Oh, Cantor issue.
Oh, and so we've got a couple off there. We've got Cantor and we've got the 767 as well of Trespidi.
Let's take a
See
look at that.
if they've managed to come together. Oh, they are following each other in here, aren't they?
Oh.
Oh no, Trespidi just slid ever so slightly wide, didn't he? The back started to come round of him, and Jeff Cantor with nowhere to go but straight into the side, and I think it's actually hurt Jeff more. Certainly that car's looking more crumpled than at Trespidi, who doesn't appear to have any damage on his car. They're both together again now, and Trespidi's going to fly straight up into 35th. I'm sure Jeff Cantor will be waving his fist out of the cockpit as it does go by.
The iRacing special button, but here we are with our Spec 2 battle. And for 1 and 2 here with Favini and Lesnoy, running 14th and 15th overall.
Yeah, Favini, our lead Spec 2 driver, in the number 227. Doing an excellent job at the moment. He's made up a place on Lesnoy. Lesnoy qualified ahead of him. These opening 6 laps have been nothing but a fight between them and McCain trying to join in. Alan McCain, who came off the grid in 19th, so has done a great job to catch up to these boys. He's up to 16th, made 3 places already, and I imagine he'll be looking to make these last 2 places and lead the category.
Yeah, Alan's had a great run of form over the past 2 seasons. Really great run of form. It's nice to see him backed up, climbing through this field.
Long may that continue for him. At the moment, he's just content to watch these boys as they lap through turn 5 and climbing up to the always awkward kink of 6. I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I absolutely hate this next corner. We're going to go on board with Alan McCain, see how he deals with it. Lovely job. Oh, Favini ahead though. Didn't do such a good job. Oh, and he's off. He's off. Andrea Favini, we were on board watching from behind, just commenting how tricky that corner is. And as if on command, Andrea decides to show us all. Ran in just, I don't know whether he just missed his apex, ran in a little bit too hot. Put him out onto the gravel and into a very solid barrier on the inside. Let's watch it from the onboard. Oh, too much curb.
Too much.
Yeah, it was the one situation I didn't mention there. Too much curb. It's a hefty curb to whack, that one, because you really bottom out in the dip, and then you've got the obviously the rise of the curb, and when you hit it, unsettles the car completely. He didn't seem to have done too bad of a job. He was still sort of pointing in the right direction, but then just got out onto the dirt, and I imagine though kept his foot flat, thinking that he got away with one. When you're out in the slippery stuff, that's what can happen, unfortunately. And he's dropped all the way to the bottom. Whether he's going to park it, come into the pits, we'll have to wait and see. But our leader from Spec 2, and in fact, where's our other Spec 2 driver? There's only Lesnoy left there now. Where's McCain gone?
We will find this out. Ooh, Alan had an off track. Let's find what happened to Alan here.
We had 3 Spec 2 drivers all in a row. We lost one of them on camera. We've lost another. Oh no, he's got blindsided by Lesnoy running a little bit wide. McCain thinks he can pick up a position. Oh, and he's very slow to get going again.
He's got such a big group of backs into the wall. He's also in a really compromising spot. I'm at the, where you don't really see anything but sky at that corkscrew area.
Yeah, that was awkward for him. He was pointed almost back up the hill, wasn't he? Had to do a very awkward 3-point turn, get it pointed back into a sort of parallel line so he could join safely back onto the circuit, and it's put him all the way down in. I've got 30th showing on my radar at the moment. So suddenly Lesnoy, from a 3-way battle to win Spec 2, is all on his own in 13th place.
Now this is interesting.
Our first pit stops.
Antonio Reyes is in. That's really interesting. That's not a normal Antonio Reyes move to be pulling what we call a Stevie Ray, where you pit basically as soon as the window opens.
Yeah, generally speaking, if you're at the front, you want to wait as long as you can for your pit stop, because it avoids what Reyes is now going to be faced with, coming out into traffic. He's out in, where is he on the board? Struggling to spot him, somewhere outside the top 25.
28th.
28th, thank you very much, Jonathan. 28th position. So now 25 cars between him and where he was originally. Now all those cars have obviously got to pit, and some of them will get out of his way. But I imagine the driver's sort of outside, say, the top 15. He's probably going to pass on track at some point, and will be slower than he was travelling. So it's an odd move, I've got to say, from Antonio Reyes there. Maybe he thinks he's got the Masters category wrapped up, and he just fancies battling someone for some of this time tonight.
And speaking of losses and gains, not surprising, Andrea Bertoni is currently up 18 spots.
He's got Alan McCain in front of him now. Alan McCain, who's got his own recovery to be doing, so those two will probably be better suited working together. Oh, they're not going to though, are they? McCain sees off Bertoni through 10. Bertoni switches back, and I think McCain's gone down the pit lane, hasn't he?
Yeah, McCain just jumped in. Starting to see a lot of pit stops. Batley's in, McCain's in, Stevie Ray's in. A lot of guys coming in earlier than normal. Well, Stevie Ray comes in always early, but interesting, McCain, well, he had the issue, Race coming in early.
And there we go, Stevie Ray's off and underway. Yeah, we've got a few on the board already. Stevie stationary for 13.5 seconds there. 2 seconds longer than Reyes was in box 4, actually, so not the most rapid of stops there for Stevie Ray, although he's not desperately in need of a fast in and out where he's not challenging right at the front. Still, though, it'll cost him against the drivers as around, so maybe not to his benefit, as we're watching Naselli 4/10 behind his teammate Pinero, and with just Simoes for company now.
these three have really broken away, and I'm interested to see how much does Simoes make them push the pace, where if it was just the two Alex Raptorkart guys, they're probably content just, you know, moving at a, you know, racing at a particular pace and waiting for pit stops to go. I want to see if Simoes makes them, you know, push it up a little more and potentially force some issues.
At the moment, Simoes does have the fastest lap of anyone. It's certainly the front three with a 34.3. Naselli and Pinero also both in the 34s. Wangshi Lin's moved up to 4th place now. My prediction for tonight, set of 34.7. Unfortunately, that's not fast enough to be gaining on the front few guys. Last lap, oh, he was faster than them. Oh no, sorry, he was faster than Simoes last lap, but they were all lapping in the high 34s, so he's not made a dent on this lap. James Walker going with him. They've left Bobby West behind somewhat. But yeah, 5 seconds between 4th and 3rd place. Now, Wangshi Lin will make some of that time up in the pit stops. He does it week in, week out. Really stretches the fuel. He's not got anyone to follow and save fuel from tonight, though, so that might change up his strategy just a little bit.
Yeah, that group, that Lin, Walker, West group broke up a little bit, and Walker does have pace, so maybe him and Lin can work together, but doesn't have that large group that he can work and draft around, and, you know, someone was in there.
Yep, I think that was a back marker parked there. Oh, I can't quite see the number. It looked like 319 Viglini, maybe.
I think it is. Let's take a look.
Yeah, there we are on board. Oh, loops it round. And this car doesn't have the power for you to wheel spin your way out.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Oh,
He just missed his teammates.
well, maybe he was getting out of the way for them. Yeah, not the proudest moment for Michelle on camera there. Or Mikel, sorry.
And once again, Andreas Petoni picks up another spot. 23 spots now for him.
Yeah, just the standard half the grid made up for Andreas. Now, obviously, he has got some drivers coming to the pit in that, so we won't pat him on the back just yet for his record-breaking scores. But by the end of the night, I imagine 30 places or so will have been gained. Obviously, further forward he gets, the harder it becomes to make those positions. Each driver that little bit faster than the one before. Oh, as we're watching Renders push the gravel, not unlike Favini did, to his detriment. Renders holds on to the position though there. He's got Campbell right behind him, the number 38. These guys down in 11th and 12th currently, a little bit low. And they've got Jason Perry just in front. Oh, as Renders catches the curb on the inside there. I think this is one of those circuits where you do not really want to be catching any of the inside curves. Those big, well, small but high sausage curves on the inside of most corners will unsettle you if you start clipping them. So, stay away from those if you can, boys.
Yeah, and a lot of those curves, Adam, are curves that you feel like you can really, you want to get on the gas as you hit, when you hit that apex, and in the process you hit that curb and it spins you around.
Yeah, we've seen it once tonight. We'll see if anyone else is unfortunate. Oh, as Renders a little bit slow in the middle of the corner there. And Aidan Campbell absolutely committed to getting on with it. Oh, as then Aidan gets a little bit squirrely in the middle of the corner. Keeps it on track though, does a nice job of recovering. But that's just opened the gap to 4 or 5 car lengths as these two fight outside the top 10 for the moment. We've got leader in Spec 2 in the background, Lesnoy, and we haven't mentioned him recently, but Murakami leading in the Masters after Reyes' pit stop.
Yeah, Murakami doing a great job. Doing a great job staying with West and Mayer.
Oh, again, another driver struggling with the back of the car there, getting a little bit loose on him.
This is one of those. This is one of those tracks, Adam, where this is one of those tracks, Adam, where you want to, you think you can jump on the throttle like a second quicker than what you probably should. It's, you know, it has that, you know, you're like I can jump on it now, or I can take this corner 5 miles an hour, faster than I probably should. And that's what gets drivers caught up here. It's not a very difficult to learn, tight, twisty track. This track lies to you.
Yeah, I'd say from my experience and how I'm going to quote this is that you sort of tend to float around half of this course. It's not a stop and then jump on the throttle, get out of the corner as quick as you can. You sort of ease it through everywhere, just try and carry the speed. Yeah, to me that has a sort of a very floaty feel to it on how you I'd be interested to know if any of the front three agree with that, or if I'm just talking nonsense.
Well, I agree with you.
Oh, good. So we're both talking nonsense then.
We are talking nonsense here. That's why we're commenting and they're racing.
Exactly. As Pinero continues to lead, we're into lap 13. He's got his two bandmates with him. Well, one of his bandmates and one of his critics in Simoes. Desperately like to get in front of these two guys, but he's 2 against 1 tonight, effectively. His two teammates leading 1 and 2. So it would be very easy for Naselli just to sort of give away a 10th or 2 each lap, wouldn't it, and see Pinero home to an easy win. Thankfully, they're not like that. They're both out there to race as hard as they can for themselves.
They're going to race hard.
Like to bring it home the 1-2.
They will race hard. We've seen Maurizio race hard. We've seen Marco race hard. They're not going to, intentionally really bang into each other, but we will see hard racing from them when the time comes. And they're working. This group of 3 is working really well together. I was wondering if Simoes would make them push the pace and the rhythm, but they're really starting to push away a little bit from Wan Lin and James Walker.
Yeah, that gap to Lin last time we checked him was about 5.5 seconds, wasn't it? It's out to 6 now, so I think that initial phase of really stretching the gap has obviously been left behind, and it's now just incremental increases now that Lin's fought his way to the front of the chasing group. He's taking Walker with him still. Moves to 4th and 5th, and then a gap back to West. Mayer and Murakami seems to have just lost the toe a little bit from these two.
Yeah, that group of 5 is now broken up to 2 clumps of 2 plus Murakami in the back is the 1. Whereas our top 3 have stayed really, really close together.
Yeah, close enough that I'm starting to wonder if Simoes might just be doing a little bit of fuel saving. We mentioned it earlier as the fait accompli of Wang Lin. That's how he tends to end up high up in the standings. Takes a short stop having saved fuel. I wonder if Simoes is doing the same now. There's not as big an opportunity as we normally see when we see packs of 6, 7, 8 cars. Normally the back guys are off the throttle halfway down the straight. That's not going to be the case with just 3 of them together. But I bet Felix is taking as they're battling into turn 1. Felix has got really close onto the back of Naselli for whatever reason on this last lap. Whether he's just putting the challenge on before the pit stop phase, put them under pressure, and then slide away into the pits. We'll see.
Still a lot of time left in this race. We're just halfway, just a little over halfway through, so there is time. When do we see the pit stops? Do we see them soon? Do we see them as we get into the 30s? It's interesting, but this group just stick together really right now until it happens.
I've got Jason Perry in the pits at the moment. As I mentioned, wondering when they're going to come in. Jason's obviously decided that now is the time. From inside the top 10, he's dropped down to 24th at the moment, 25th even. Andreas Bertoni goes past him. And looking at Antonio Reyes, formerly driver in 4th place, currently in 19th after his stop. And as we mentioned, he's got to now fight back through drivers, which is why we questioned that early pit stop. He's got Brewster right in front of him, and then Mountbat. And it doesn't look like it's a frictionless task to go past these guys.
No, it's really it was a really questionable call for Antonio as to why take the pit stop. And it doesn't. He's gained spots, but doesn't appear to be being effective as. Oh,
this will be effective. Round goes Brewster. And Mountbat as well. Sorry, Mountbat spins first. Brewster spins in sympathy, and Reyes is very thankful to go straight down the middle of the 2 of them.
The Red Sea's parted for Antonio Reyes at the corkscrew. Wow.
I say he'll never make 2 passes as easy as that, will he? I'm surprised at Brewster. I thought he'd got that one sorted as we went into the apex, but for whatever reason, maybe just cranked on a little bit more steering to better avoid Mountbat, and round he went as well.
Let me grab that, see if we can get a copter cam here.
Lovely perspective. Yep, that's Mountbat in front, and he's just going to
Mountbat's
turn in with a little bit too much pace, and then Brewster. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Brewster's done wrong there to spin it round.
I think what happened is what happens. This happens to me in iRacing. Granted, I'm not the best at. You get sucked into other people's accidents. You see a car spinning in front of you, and you go to avoid it, and you end up spinning as well. It's almost like this weird magnetic force where you get sucked into someone else's accident. And I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, spinning in sympathy. It's a common mistake. I just thought he'd got into the corner, he'd made his apex. All he had to do was fire it out from there, but for whatever reason... Oh, meanwhile, we've got a change for second. Action at the front. Simoes goes up past Naselli. I don't know if he just got a better exit. They're coming through the back markers at the moment, and I noticed that Naselli was a little bit balked on the apex to the final corner. Not sure that it should have cost him a position though, because I thought he would have defended it, but Simoes flies through into second.
Take a look at that again, see what happened. I think he got caught up in the lapper.
Yeah, it did cost him more than I thought it had. Simoes is going to drive through, and Simoes has obviously got the draft as well from Naselli. Naselli moves over to the left just at the last second, maybe realises he was giving the draft to the wrong car, but it benefits Simoes up into second. Now, will he sit there, or will he try and take the lead?
I think he sits here right now, really, Adam. You know, there's no need, as we watch.
Oh. Don't count your chickens too soon. Oh, and the driver's coming out of the way. Thankfully, it doesn't affect the lead group, but Felix, with 26 minutes in, he's decided now is the time for action, and he's really trying to scrape the paint off the back of the number 16. He's
really on his back bumper right now.
Yeah, he's not leaving an inch, is he? Right up underneath the number 16. Absolutely full car in his mirror. He's going to look to the inside now. Pinero knocks that off. Felix to the outside. Just don't open the door to Naselli. Naselli's around there somewhere, the number 44. But the three of them through turn 1. Start of lap 18. 27 minutes in the books, and Felix Simoes deciding that he wants to take the lead now. He wants to show these two teammates that he's not here to play. He's here for all the marbles. Through turn 4, down the kink, under the bridge, under the footbridge, and then into 5. Not normally a passing opportunity. Most of this section, not really enough of a braking zone for any of these sort of 90 right and left corners to make an overtake. But if you get this kink right, you can draft up to the corkscrew. Both of them out right to the dirt there, kicking it up into the following drivers' faces. Over to the left side, over to the right. Brake on the brow. Pick up an apex. Simoes does a nice job there. I think he carried a little bit more speed through. And then tumbling downhill. Again, another apex corner for 9 there. And then into the heavily banked 10. Oh, as Simoes goes wide, does he? Oh, they both come into the pit.
And Naselli didn't come in. That's surprising. Wow.
Naselli goes on by. I wonder if Naselli's just thinking, I'll let those two fight. I'll let those two fight in the pits when they come out on track, and I'll do some clean laps.
Bobby West is in. Correct me, last week at Knock Hill, didn't Naselli or Pinero have an issue with Simoes? Wasn't there a little bumper car action?
Yeah, we had quite a bit of bumper car from time to time last week out. It was Aeronom, I think, was the only driver not to get involved, and hence was the driver who took home the win. But yeah, those drivers hoping for a cleaner night tonight, a cleaner race. As I think
Lots of guys coming into the pits now.
Yeah, lots of drivers coming in. I'm just interested to see where our former leaders have come out. Pinero and Simoes 7th and 8th on the board. There they are, and Simoes looks to have lost time in the pit lane. There's a good, second and a half between them now. Just check what their stationary time was in the pits. 9.3 seconds for Pinero, 10.2 for Simoes. So both of them with very short pit stops. Pinero even shorter. Oh, and I'm not looking at the cameras. And there's a...
That was Aiden Campbell. We have to grab that. That... Pinero got lucky. There's Campbell, loses it. Watch Marco Pinero.
My goodness, a car width and no more to it slide by there, wasn't there? Yep, I chose the worst time to look away from the cameras there. I was looking at pit stop times and all the action was on screen. Thankfully, not too much action as Naselli drives into the pits. And the rest of the top 10, I think, have come in with him. I can see Green, I can see Murakami.
Lesnoy, our Spec 2 leaders in.
Yep, apparently 30 minutes is the golden time to come in for your pit stop. We're going to wait to see where Naselli comes out. Naselli's done a 10-second stop. Now that's more equivalent to Simoes. And he's racing his teammate. He's on the inside line out of the pits. He's got a back marker in front of him. But he's going to be in front. Is he? Oh, Pinero drives alongside. He's got more momentum. And Pinero versus Naselli through 3. They're side by side coming out of the pits. Down to 4. And it's going to be Naselli who takes it for the moment. Pinero, he did everything he could with a shorter pit stop, but for whatever reason, Naselli's just had that super in-lap and takes the lead off his teammate. Simoes is still about there somewhere. Oh, as we're sliding on board with the number 6. We've got another driver up in front.
Oh, it's going to bunch him up.
Oh, this is going to affect Simoes, is it? If that back marker goes through the kink. No, it doesn't. Simoes manages to clear it, but Simoes has become
lap traffic
now. Lap traffic's going to do the good thing and jump on the brakes, get clean out of the way. Oh, and then do the slightly dangerous thing of trying to pull straight back in behind a faster driver. Oh, and then almost lose it as well. Oh dear, he did the right thing to begin with and then got
Lynn's in.
A little bit squirrely. Meanwhile, Lynn into the pits. Normally our shortest stopper. Let's see how long he's stationary for.
It's going to give Walker the lead.
Yep,
So yeah, this could work out well for James Walker.
Number 96 yet to stop. I think about the only driver not to stop now. As Lynn exits the pits. He's detached from the front 3, but I think he's going to be on his own in 4th, is he now? Reyes is somewhere behind him, so Reyes' early pit stop hasn't cost him too much. He's up into 6th.
Here's Antonio.
There he is. Yeah, and Wang Shilin is basically out on his own, I think. About 4 seconds ahead behind Simoes, a couple of seconds ahead of Reyes. There's our pit stop transfer time on the screen now. Naselli 52.1 seconds to travel through the pits. Wang Shilin 52.2. And yeah, I think they're the fastest by some margin. Simoes, you can see it there, 53.9 seconds traversing the pits. And after all his good work in the opening 26 minutes, it's all come undone in the pit stop cycle.
Yeah, Simoes was a second slower than Marco Pinero, and I think you're seeing that really right now on track. Walker's going to jump in.
Our last driver of the front 20 at least to pit. Trundles through to his box. We'll see where he comes back out. Obviously was fighting with Murakami before he came in. No, sorry, he was fighting Lynn, wasn't he? Let's see if he can keep up with that one.
Walker's in there. So yeah, that pit lane strategy, that pit strategy didn't work too bad for Antonio Reyes. He's back up into the lead of the Masters class.
Yeah, he's still got a 4-second advantage over Murakami, hasn't he? We can see him in the background battling Bobby West. Walker coming out of the pits. Is he ahead of Lynn? Is he behind Lynn? I think he's behind you now.
Walker. Oh, look
No,
at this.
he's not.
There they
Got it
are.
wrong, there he is.
Walker's just ahead of Lynn.
Yeah, Walker puts his stamp on 4th place. He's got 6 minutes now to hold off Wanshy Lynn. Oh, as we've got drivers again. I don't know what these drivers have been drinking whilst they've been into the pits, but it wasn't good for them, I can tell you that much. Off left and right as the leaders fly through.
So it looks like the battles, looks like our Spec, Lesnoy's got Spec 2 wrapped up. Reyes has got the Masters class wrapped up, it looks like. Now if everything goes according to plan. What happens with our top 2? They're teammates, they work well together. Does Pinero have the pace?
Well, he's set.
And how aggressive is he going to be?
Yep, these two are out 1-2 on the grid. The other way round, it was Pinero with the pole and Maselli second. They're swapped as we come to the end of lap 22. A few more laps to go to see if they can't put it back into grid order. Certainly that's what Pinero would want, but Pinero, those last couple of corners of that lap have left him off the back of the number 44. He just kicked up some dirt, I noticed, through 9, and it's cost him to the tune of 4 or 5 tenths. Simoes about 1.7 off the back. I think even if he sets his hottest pace now, he's probably not going to rejoin these boys before the end of the race, unfortunately for Felix. He'll be hoping for a battle from these two. He asks what's going to go on. If they're sensible, they'll leave it until the very last lap, so that it's just a 2-car fight for the win. Climbing the hill once more through the fast kink at turn 6. And up to the famous corkscrew. Marco Pinero we're on board with, looking at the back of his teammate. Both of them pick up the left and the right apexes. Nice job, as you'd expect from the two leaders. And again, lovely smooth lines of his fall down the hill into 10. Use all the banking there to carry as much speed as he can for the big final braking zone of 11. If Pinero's right on the back of his teammate on the last lap, I imagine that's a passing opportunity.
It
But
definitely
he
is.
won't want to spurn.
Just watching them, it seems like Pinero is stronger up to the corkscrew, and then post corkscrew, Maselli, gains it right back on him.
Yep, it ebbs and flows between them, doesn't it? As we watch through the opening sector again, Maselli just pulling out a tenth, 2 tenths through these corners. Pinero, obviously, with the benefit of the slipstream, just every straight, he'll be inexorably closing in 100th by 100th, mile per hour by mile per hour quicker than his teammate, with the benefit of the draft. Through 5, he's right underneath him now.
Gets such a good run here.
Yeah, that wasn't great though, was it? He just missed
I say it this time.
And into the corkscrew. Meanwhile, Bobby West in 7th. He's got Simon Mayer fighting him hard for a top 7 position. Somewhere up ahead, Antonio Reyes, the number 914, is all on his own in the Masters category. Somewhere behind these two, Jason Green and Chris Murakami make up the top 10. They're all a little bit spread out. Just looking down the timing screens, I think that's probably our best battle apart from the front two, who are now pushing each other across the start-finish line virtually. The white flag's in the air. Yep, I'm looking at the timing screen. They've only got time for 1 lap before the 40 minutes counts down, so this is it. Pinero's got 11 corners to make it work, and he's not going to do it through the first one. In fact, he's not going to do it through these next few either. He's half a second off Naselli.
It's like clear road ahead for them too, Adam.
Yeah, no back markers in their way. nothing to spoil the fight between these two. I think Maselli has just about got it wrapped up, as long as he doesn't do anything silly through these last few corners. Pick up your apexes gently onto the throttle. Don't do anything silly now. He's halfway through the lap, half more of a lap to go, and he will be tonight's winner. Kink through the corner. Oh, he's a little bit too conservative there, though. Pinero's got a run on him. Pinero's coming up the hill, right in behind. Shows his nose, but backs out of it into the corkscrew. I thought just for a second he'd got it done there for a fight to have a go, but we're down into the last 3 corners. Maselli with a couple of car lengths. Pinero still working hard, using every inch of the circuit, but it's not going to be enough, you know, unless he does a do or dive. Not likely on his teammate into turn 11. Maselli gets it, stops, gets it turned. Points for the checkered flag, and it's going to be a 1-2 for the teammates. Led home by the number 44 of Maurizio Naselli. There he goes across the line to win round 5 here in the Spec Race Ford Weekend Warriors Series. Pinero follows him home, and Simoes completes the podium. James Walker. Oh, and Lynn's out of fuel. Lynn's out of fuel, coming to the line. Reyes is going to get there. Oh, it's uphill as well for Wongshi. Is he going to make it? We're watching Reyes across the line, and he does make it. My goodness, Wongshi Lin. He always fuels it lightly. That's a bit too lightly. Sam Mayer has come home 7th ahead of Bobby West. Jason Green, Chris Murakami rounds out your top 10. We're watching the winner in Spec 2 category, number 311 of Kuzmo Lesnoy. Crosses the line to finish 12th overall and winner in Spec. Well done to him. We're watching another battle come to the end. This is Bob Kern. He's following Tom Renders, and Renders has actually got by him on this lap, I think. These guys
he just did.
over 23rd. Renders has snatched it away on the final lap. Oh, and then he's going to weave to make sure there's no slipstream to the line. Tom Renders comes home 23rd, Bob Kern 24th, and Andrea Favini in 25th. And that's about it. Most of the drivers now are a lap or more down. Cantor in 28th has already finished, so we're just waiting on Paul Jackson. There he goes across the line. And that concludes our race for tonight here from Laguna Seca. And what a showdown it was between the two teammates.
Yeah, great battle.
Up on screen, the full results for you. Maurizio Naselli takes victory here tonight. Just a matter of 2/10 ahead of Marco Pinero. They were 1-2 on the grid, 1-2 the other way round at the flag. Felix Simoes comes home 3rd. Claim a podium for the Portuguese driver. James Walker in 4th, and Antonio Reyes, our Masters category victor. Wongshi Lin 6th ahead of Simon Mayer, Bobby West, Jason Green and Chris Murakami making up your top 10. Miro Haraski and then Kuzma Lesnoy wins out in Spec 2. Christian Vassi comes home 13th ahead of Yuri Cox, Luca Leone. Andreas Bertoni made it all the way up to 16th. I said he'd make 30 places. I think he's made 29, hasn't he, Jonathan? And then Serge Mountbat and Ken Batley. In 19th is Stevie Ray. Excellent job from Stevie there to climb up to 19th. Al McCain 20th after his spin into the wall. Jim Brewster and Kurt Nunez ahead of Tom Renders, Bob Kern and Andrea Favini. John Wilson comes home in 26th ahead of Paul Jackson and Jeff Cantor.
Sorry. Trying to multitask.
There we go. Gary Walbot in 29th. Tom Gradwell 30th ahead of Darren Kern, Ian Gibson and Marcus Burkett. John Lauer and Gianni Longin make up the drivers up to a lap down. Then Marco Trespidi in 36th, and the following drivers all getting into variance incidents. Michael Vaglini 4 laps down ahead of Charlie Vaccaro. Aidan Campbell we saw spinning out, ultimately ended up in 39th, 6 laps down ahead of Matthias Weiger, Jason Perry, Danny Mulder, Brian Short, Carl Berg and Paolo Gori, Conti and Schuck, drivers who either came to trouble on the first lap or didn't take the start. So there you are, 47 drivers run here tonight at Laguna Seca. Congratulations once again to Maurizio Naselli. And now we're going to take a look at our interviewees. And we've got, first up, I'm going to pull in our third place driver overall. Felix Simoes joins us in the box. Hi, Felix.
Oh, hello. Hi.
So you've come home third tonight. You were battling the odds with the two teammates there, but how was that from your point of view?
Yeah, at some point I thought I had pace to be faster than them, but I didn't push it. But then after the pit stop, my pit stop was slightly slower than Panero. And then, yeah, tire wear start enter as a factor, and I started making mistakes here and there. You probably saw that in the broadcast, and I lost. Yeah, it was not possible for me to keep up with them. They had a very strong pace, both of them. So, but it was fun. After last week, where I was so much bad luck for me, this one went pretty smooth.
Yeah, obviously had a terrible timeout at Knockhill, so it must be it must be a relief to at least be on the podium tonight. Yeah, you mentioned in the pit stops time loss. It was Panero was a second quicker stop time, and Naselli was a second and a half quicker, actually transferring through the pit lane. So obviously he'd been practicing his entries and exits. A little bit frustrating for yourself, I imagine, to have unfortunately just lost it in the pits.
Yeah, it's part of the game. The thing is, I use VR and I have no app to help me with the fuel. So I did a calculation before the race and I stick with it. I probably saved fuel. Probably I didn't need that much fuel because I ended up with like a bit more fuel. And the entry was also not that good because I committed to the entry and then Panero also did. So it was not my plan to go to pit same time as him. It just happened, and I may have lost a bit of time there. But I was sorry.
Yeah, we were watching that live as you both dived for the pit lane, absolutely right on his tail, weren't you? We did sort of clench our fists, thinking you might run into the back of him just for a second.
Yeah, because as I said, I wasn't counting on him, and then I got a bit distracted and I lost a bit the breaking point for the pit, and I almost rear-ended him. Good thing that it didn't happen.
Now, what about your move up into second place just before the pit stop phase? Because we saw you, the three of you, dealing with a back marker into the final corner, and obviously you dealt best of the three of you, managing to move up into second there.
Yeah, it just happened. It was, as I said, the back marker entered into play, and Naselli lost time, and I tried not to lift and to keep the momentum, and Naselli also didn't make it hard for me to at the top of the hill. He lifted and let me go by, so we did. So at the end, we lose this time. It was not planned. It just happened because I was comfortable to just stay behind the two of them until the pit stops, and then by the end of the race we would see, but it didn't play like that.
Yeah, now we've obviously had two rather short circuits in the form of Knockhill and Laguna Seca these last couple of weeks. We're off to VIR next week, so a real change of pace with the long circuit there. How are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, it's I like the track with the fast curves, the fast turns and all. It's just like it's going to be a brief exercise. So let's see how it goes on those kind of tracks. Anything can happen because pace, as long as you manage to keep up with someone who's almost a second faster than you. So
lovely. And before we let you go, if you want to give a little shout out to anyone.
As usual, to Steve for organizing and everybody that takes place in the race. Everybody has a very sportsmanship. And of course you guys are doing a nice job. I haven't participated that much lately, but I follow the broadcasts when I don't, and I always enjoy watching your commentaries.
Thank you very much, Felix. Glad to hear you're a fan as well. And we've got time for one more interviewee, so I'm going to pull our Masters Spec winner Antonio Reyes into the box. Antonio, welcome in.
Night, guys. Thanks for having me. Good night, everyone watching.
So Antonio qualified top in the Masters category, come home in 5th place overall. You must be pleased with your night's work.
Yeah, I am. Actually, yeah, I was expecting to finish the race at least, not kind of too much worry about the position, but it did end up well. So yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, now
I'm very happy.
Now you set off from 4th place on the grid. You're in the lead group for the opening few laps, and then you pitted very early. What was the thinking behind that one?
Oh, I saw the guys behind catching. I lost the draft, so I was all by myself, and then I didn't want they catch me, so I just went to the pits to avoid they pass me. It's a little stupid, but anyway, it was my idea. Sorry about that.
So avoiding the battle with the drivers immediately behind him.
Yeah, also getting out of the stress and the pressure, so driving more relaxed and try to finish the race. Yeah, as well. Same point of strategy. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to criticise that one. It's brought you home 5th overall, which is a lovely result for yourself. Now, as you were obviously falling back through the grid through your pit stop, you did then have to fight through some of the drivers. We were on board when the corkscrew incident between, I think it was Brewster and who spun out of the way, and you managed to slot between the middle of them.
Yeah, somehow. Somehow, yeah, I got some lucky.
I say, were there any more battles of that sort of nature, or were you fairly clean through the pack for most of it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was kind of a clean. Yeah, I have some free track in front of me, and then I have a couple of guys to overtake. Well, not overtake, actually. I was fighting in the same position, but was slower than me, and I just tried to pass them. And they was helping me, just not forcing, so it was nice. Yeah, it's a good group of guys, a good bunch of good guys. So it's always pleased to be here and to stay with the guys and have some fun. Yeah, it's basically most of the spirit of the race for me.
And
having fun, yeah.
Before we let you go, if you'd just like to give a shout out to anyone.
Yeah, to Steve Ray, organizer, as always. He's taking care of all the details of the races, and for the sponsors, the RaceVoice, and for you guys for covering our races, and for the drivers, all the drivers and people watching. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Antonio. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, see you guys. Take care. See you next week. Have a good one. Bye.
And that just about brings us to the end of our broadcast here on Apex Racing TV. If you have enjoyed what you've seen tonight, take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You'll also find us on your social media of choice. Just search Apex Racing TV on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. Now, next week we'll be racing at VIR, but before we get there, we've got a whole week of racing coming up on Apex Racing TV. Now, normally this is Tim's job to lay out the schedule, but I think, Jonathan, you've got the list in front of you for what's coming up for our viewers.
Yeah, so right now on Apex TV, right now, so as soon as this is over, tune into the Finding Speed community race at Spa. Great GT3 action over there. Also, IGP Fun at Alton Park. And tomorrow night, you have the Rickamotech Sports Car Series Round 5 at Mid-Ohio. ARL GT3 Trophy Season 4 of this great series is going to be at Montreal for their 6th round. And then you have the Ray Esports League Round 5 at Road Atlanta, and also Radical Racing Challenge Week 6 at Summit Point. So that's some of the great racing here on Apex Racing TV this week, Adam.
Yeah, I hope all our viewers here with us tonight will get a chance to check in with that as we come to the end of tonight. Thank you for watching along with us. Hope you've been entertained. Thank you also to our series sponsor, RaceVoice. You too can go faster with the speed of voice. Check them out at www.racevoice.com. My thanks to Jonathan Grabowski for joining me tonight, doing double duty. And I bid all of you, wherever you're watching in the world, either a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night.